Oh my goodness, we hit 300,000 subscribers. That's not a number that I thought we would ever really hit. I thought 100,000 was like the absolute dream, and that is incredible, but to hit 300,000 is... I have no words. Thank you very much. I guess that's a word. Thanks. From Glen and I, it's amazing. Hi everyone, and welcome back to SwitchUp, and today we're going to actually look at some of my favourite games, those being JRPGs coming out on the Nintendo Switch in the next month or so. 2023 is surprisingly good if you're a JRPG fan, and make sure you stick around to the end of the video as it may well save your life. You can usually save yourself some money over at our website switchup.gg by buying your eShop credit over there and check in the description to see what our current active discount code is. Also, if you want physicals, we have a link to Play Azure. I think they give us a little kickback as well. What are the most interesting JRPGs coming up in the next month or so? Well, my name's Mark Walker. Let's find out. Now, we've just had Fire Emblem Engage come out, which is a great TRPG, but the end of January sees the Japanese release of Disgaea 7. It's a series that's been going on for quite a while, all the way back in 2003, 20 years ago it started, and I believe it was on the PlayStation 2. Now, the 7th game in the series is coming out for the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4 and 5, and it'll undoubtedly continue the same tradition of the surprisingly deep tactical turn-based gameplay, but this time around they're introducing Netherworld tourism, a few mini-games, and it's set in a place known as the Himoto Netherworld Cluster, with the main protagonists, a pair of samurai called Fuji and Tea exploring this place with a slightly unusual tourism mechanic, as the title suggested, in what sounds like a TRPG holiday tour. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Undoubtedly, Disgaea usually has a bit of a quirky sense of humour in the background, and fans of the series are, well, they'll be right at home. But if you're new to this series, it can be quite difficult to drop right in at one of the latter entries, and you can usually find the others discounted. We don't yet know when the European release of that one will be, but I think we can still expect that in 2023. Then we've got the lovely looking Tales of Symphonia Remastered Edition, which drops in February. This one comes from Bandai Namco, and as the title suggests, it's a remaster of the much loved Tales of Symphonia game. What type of remaster are we looking at? Well, they describe it as a full HD remastering, which could literally just mean they up-res the game, but hopefully we're looking at improved textures. It looks to be character models as well improved, as well as on-screen elements like text boxes and dialogue. The whole narrative is set within a place called Silverant, which, as I'm sure you could probably predict, is under threat from an evil force, and it will be up to the Chosen One, aka Colette, to sort it out with her pal Lloyd. This is one we'll undoubtedly have a review of on the channel, so if you're interested in that, then make sure you stick around. But they have also tweaked the gameplay, so it's not just the visuals. Some of the gameplay mechanics should be more streamlined, and what's very cool, and something I love to see in RPGs in general, is that you can play co-op with up to 4 of you on one Nintendo Switch console. The battles are real-time, and the physical edition of this is looking mighty tasty as well. So if you're a physical collector, as I said, 5% off Play Asia. All the links are in the description.
The world if we can't even save the people standing right in front of us. Colette! Professor Sage, Colette's sick again.
I don't want to see this beautiful scenery ruined the way Silverant was.
I won't let that happen.
I must admit, I'm quite new to the Digimon game series, at least. I played a bit of that Digimon Cyber Sleuth based on a lot of your recommendations when it was on sale, and it's an excellent game, massively underrated in my opinion. So I was quite excited to see Digimon World: The Next Order is coming in February on the 22nd, and it's an entirely new, delightful looking RPG adventure. The timing couldn't be better in my opinion for a monster catching game to arrive, hopefully in decent condition. So if they've done a good job on this, well, it could be a lesson to some. This one looks to freely let you go out and capture as many Digimon as you can and train them up, and has a much more heavy emphasis on exploration while trying to stop a virus that's essentially destroying the world. The Switch version's been brought across by Hyde Incorporated, with the PS4 version being developed by BB Studio. As far as the gameplay goes, well, you'll be able to choose between either a male or a female protagonist. I believe there's a small amount of customization, and you'll be able to choose 2 Digimon companions to join you. There's a large town building aspect this time around as well, where you'll be able to expand your town, upgrade the different buildings, and essentially become a Digimon farmer. The crux of the whole experience will be the battling system and how much these evolutions they're talking about have improved the formula, but obviously you'll be training up your pair of Digimon to fight cooperatively. Yeah, I am looking forward to that. I'm a big fan of monster catching games, even when they don't perform quite right. Let's be honest, they've been improving over the years, so we'll be keeping a beady eye on this one. Then we've got what I see as the revival of the Atelier series, and it's the 3rd edition of Ryza. Now, when I say the revival, it's not to say that the games were bad. There were just so many elements that were quite dated and didn't change for, well, 10, 15 games, and then Ryza came out and they improved so many things, from the visual to the Atelier system, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It didn't hurt that the main protagonist was really good at alchemy, and it was one of those games that you could play and it just put a big smile on your face. Now, I'm a big friend of Isha Gaming. You should check out her channel, but she calls games like this green grass games, and yeah, I don't know how else to describe it really. It's a green grass game. It's full of bright and colourful imagery. There's lots of green grass and a big open world to explore. It looks like the world itself is much more intricate than it was before, and I am hoping that it's, well, I say open world, it's probably interconnected open, but I'm hoping that those spaces are a bit more interesting than some of the previous iterations. I enjoyed the other games, but you spent a lot of time running around within the same environments. I'm hoping here you've got a bit more freedom, and just based on what's been released so far, it does look potentially like that could be the case. Now let's see, it's a JRPG, you've got to be saving the world from something. Well, you're starting out this time on Kirken Island, and you've just heard that a load of other islands have popped up out of nowhere with potentially a malevolent force. And guess what? Ryza's going to stay at home and do nothing about it. No, you'll be joined by your pals and you'll go and try and save the world. Now, I was speaking about the open world there, and the developers have called this the largest ever living field. I'm using that in air quotes. You can probably see me in your mind doing the air quote symbol, and it's the largest in the series, or one of the largest. So I'm hoping that really does mean we've got a large space, and yeah, looking forward to this one a lot. Loved the first 2 games, and it'll be interesting to see how that comes over to the Switch when it's due to release, at least in Japan. I think it's global, but it's February the 24th. Then one of the big ones that we've all been waiting for, and it's Octopath Traveler II, which also releases on the same day, on February the 24th. As you know, Octopath Traveler, as the title suggests, features 8 different protagonists with a narrative that overlaps, becoming more focused towards the end, with this installment focusing around Celestia. This has a large east and west continent that's divided by an ocean, and it seems to focus more on the seafaring nature, with busy trade routes, and I should imagine much travelling upon the waters themselves, and I'm guessing, complete guess, but I'm guessing that they'll all set out from different locations onto the ocean. But what I don't know so far is what the villain is. What's this soul-crushing entity that's going to destroy the world? And it looks like there may not be one overarching world-destroying power, and that actually they're going to concentrate on careful, intertwined, and well-written narratives that touch on actual themes in a more realistic fashion. Now obviously it does have the HD 2D art style, but they have said they've enhanced it since its original release, and when I say original release I mean since Octopath Traveler. They've kept that same style, but there is much more detail in every scene, and what I do think is cool is that they've tried to show emotions more on the characters than they did before. They've also changed the camera system, so whereas before you'd look down from a set angle, there's now a dynamic camera which supposedly will make the battle system a lot more interesting. I think we'll be seeing very, very high scores for this one, let's be honest. It has a standard and a collector's edition, and the collector's edition comes with all 8 characters as small little models, and the soundtrack and art album. It looks incredible.
I'm terribly sorry.
Catapult, go, go, go! You're in for it now.
Unleash your fury!
One that I wasn't at all aware of until now is a JRPG called Anomalies, which launches in March. It's set in a neo-futuristic version of old Shanghai, and it looks like you play some form of investigator. Artistically speaking, it looks incredibly unique. And it's a turn-based RPG that has a bit of a Blade Runner / Ghost in the Shell feel to it. There are dual protagonists, Doe and Graham, and it says it has a narrative that's based around duty, hope and justice. I do like the idea of having to go around, gather intel, talk to people, get the knowledge of these different cases and whatever it is you're trying to solve within the setting of a JRPG. This, really looks interesting. There are hidden clues all about, and the battle system is, again, a little interesting. It has a shared health mechanic across all of your party, and you'll have to use different augmentations and gear, as well as what's essentially a cooperative talent system for your special moves. The aim is to make it so that you have to use your entire team to fight against creatures rather than just concentrating on one powerful one. It looks to be a much more adult and dark tone, which, sounds right up my alley when it releases on the 10th of March 2023. Oh my goodness, the backlog's just not going to be able to cope. Then a few days later, on the 14th of March, we've got Trails to Azure, the Legend of Heroes game, which, if you missed our review of the Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero, it's such an excellent series and it seems to be improving every time. This one continues the story of Lloyd Bannings, and it acts as a direct sequel to Trails from Zero. Spoiler warning in case you haven't finished that one yet. Peace has settled over Crossbell, and the special support section find themselves with newfound fame and status. However, guess what? The peace doesn't last very long, and that's where this new adventure begins. There was very positive feedback on the last game, and they've looked to build on the success of that as well as improving some of the mechanics. And although it's difficult to get these big games reviewed, I think this is one that I would quite like to do myself. So I'm going to be hopefully getting codes in for that. As I say, make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you want to check that review out when it drops. That one launches on March the 14th.
オズボーン宰相は帝国内にかなりの敵対勢力を持っていると言われていますし、
いずれにせよ現在できつつある構図には何らかの意味があるはずです。
Probably one of my little guilty pleasures on Switch. I actually really enjoyed the first game. Now the sequel, Valthirian Arc Hero School Story 2, is due to release in Q1 of 2023. It's a little bit of a genre hybrid, featuring mechanics from, loads of different places, but at its heart it's an RPG / simulation / strategy game, with the school essentially trying to train its students up to become heroes, and you'll have to run the entire faculty. New students will come in and you'll be managing the day-to-day in terms of quest lines, but you'll also be taking direct control and going out and fighting monsters, etc. Now we haven't got loads of details on this one, but it's certainly seen huge visual improvements over the initial release. And am I the only one who is a bit of a Valthirian Arc fan? Yeah, they're not perfect games, they're a bit clunky, but I do enjoy them.
Introducing the next great legend of wrestling.
Then we have the incredible looking Wrestlequest. This comes out in May, and it's an RPG that obviously combines wrestling and all of your traditional JRPG mechanics like turn-based combat. But Mega Cat Studios, I think they're onto something special here. We've seen a good few crossovers of adventure RPG and sports. I mean, Golf Story was a great example, although we kind of know what happened with Sports Story. But Wrestlequest, ooh, it looks good, doesn't it? You'll have to move from rookie all the way up to world champion, with the RPG mechanics covering your training, as well as your publicising of your wrestler. And it does feature some famous names like Jake the Snake, Macho Man Randy Savage, and of course, Andre the Giant. You can expect some ludicrous storylines, and it has some sublime artwork as well. I'm calling this one as another massive hit when it releases in May of 2023.
Can you believe it? 1, 2, 3.
2022 for me was really the year that I played a few more visual novel style RPGs, and there were some great ones. So it's no surprise really that Loop 8 Summer of Gods has caught my eye when it releases in spring 2023, and it's developed by Marvelous Incorporated, who do have a history at least of producing some bigger experiences. Now this has the interesting premise that it's set within this small town that, as the title suggests, is caught in an infinite loop. But that loop is caused by, wait for it, a malevolent force. I never saw it coming, honestly. It's the rural town of Ishigawa, which is currently one of humanity's last remaining sanctuaries. It's under threat from the Kigai, and it's that divine barrier that's essentially, I think, keeping this in a loop, but it also keeps the Kigai from breaking in. And guess who is humanity's last best hope to defeat them? Think of the most heroic name you possibly can, and then forget it, because it's Nini. He has the ability to see into the underworld where they live, and he's going to use that to hopefully rid the world of them. Now the combat looks quite good. Looks like it has, again, a bit more of a tactical feel to it, but I do love the visuals. I think it's got some beautifully hand-drawn sections, but also some decent animation. Looks like a fully fledged anime. Really looking forward to that one, and I can hear my backlog creaking.
And I can use it to save at least one person!
Why won't you just kill me and get it over with?
Konoha, come on!
You chose me over the entire world.
So that's it for this one. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in any of these. It'll be cool to do some giveaways as well as our reviews when they launch, so do make sure that you're sticking around. If you want to save your money on any Switch games, use our website switchup.gg and just check the description for the current active discount code. Thanks to all of you that enjoy these videos. Again, if you want to save money on physicals, all that info is down there, and just incredible really that we hit 300,000 subscribers today. I don't think we ever thought that would happen. I remember sitting saying that I needed 1,000 times more subscribers to reach 100,000, and my wife laughing at me. It's very supportive. No, in fairness, she was just laughing because I was getting a bit overexcited at the time and dreaming big. But yeah, you guys made it possible, so thank you so much for the 300,000 subscribers. Thanks to our Patreons and our members. You guys are awesome, and I'm loving the little emojis that you get there. They look very cool. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!